If you are a fan of motorcycles or drag racing, I am so glad you have found this video. Sit back, relax, and come with us on a journey to the shrine, the institution, the Mecca, the one and only Big Daddy Don Garlits Museum of Drag Racing right off of 75 in beautiful sunny Ocala, Florida. In this video, we're going to give you a taste of this museum from a motorcycle point of view, and motorcycles are paramount at Big Daddy Don Garlits Museum. He has several of them on display, and one of the first machines you will see when you walk in the door is the Terminal Van Line's Top Fuel DRAGBIKE. Built by Mike Gray in the fall of 1979 with help from Sam Wills, this radical new design with the rear exhaust and the front-mounted supercharger qualified #1 on its first attempt at the 1979 NHRA World Finals in Ontario, California. Piloted by the legendary Bo O'Brocta in 1980 and 1981, it won the national championship of the NHRA and the International Drag Bike Association Championship. Sam Wills rode the Terminal Van Line's Top Fuel DRAGBIKE to the IDBA National Championship in 1983. This bike won over 90% of all the races it entered and was the only two-time winner of the NHRA Best Engineered Award. It retired with a best elapsed time of 7:08 and a top speed of 208.81 miles an hour. That was beyond stout in its day. The Terminal Van Line's Top Fuel motorcycle, certainly a big piece of history in the annals of drag bike racing. And there is so much history at Big Daddy Don Garlits Museum. If you were ever near Ocala, Florida, make sure you stop in. A lot of folks come in conjunction with a visit to the NHRA Gator Nationals. It's only about 45 minutes from Gainesville. There's so much history here from Don Garlits' long and storied career, and a lot of motorcycle history as well. Like this 1973 Triumph Bonneville. This machine has some history. It was the fastest accelerating 750 stock bore Triumph on pump gasoline. It held records at 120 miles an hour, 1096 for the quarter mile, and this thing was cracking 100 miles an hour at 679 in the 8th mile. It is on loan from John Lorenz of Freeport, Illinois. It is immaculately restored and a real eye-catcher. And as we look at this history, if you have any comments, if you know anything about any of these motorcycles, anything you want to bring up from the past, let us know. We love old school bikes and we love honoring the heroes of motorcycle drag racing. Take a look at this room. Think Big Daddy Don Garlits has accumulated a fair amount of memorabilia or what? Engines on display. Pictures all over the place. Race cars from all over the world. How about this? Big Daddy Don Garlits 2003 Top Fuel motor. Swamp Rat 3. I'm sure many of you watching this have some stories about the Swamp Rat. That was the one with the engine in the front. Look at that, the late great Dave Schultz, part of Big Daddy Don Garlits' extensive die-cast collection. Of course, you remember the iconic Castrol GTX funny car that made John Force famous. Continuing on here with our drag bikes, this is the JJ Motors Harley Davidson. That was a 1982 AMA drag bike national record holder. It is special. It's 113 cubic inch alcohol Harley Davidson, 4-speed with an air shifter, chassis by the one and only legendary Puppet, paint by Rob Taylor, lettering by Dan the Sign Man. It's a special piece of history. Boy, it's amazing how far Harley drag bikes have come over the years, isn't it? And here, ladies and gentlemen, is something truly special. Who remembers when Big Daddy Don Garlits had one of his famous blowovers? It was in that Super Shop machine right there. Before we check that out, let's focus in on this one. This is the 3-speed automatic Harley Davidson known as Bigfoot. It is a turbocharged 90 cubic inch Harley Davidson with Andrews cams, the turbo grind, flywheel and cylinders and heads by STD, It has the Brad Foote gear 3-speed automatic Bandit clutch transmission. Paint, you got to love the candy tangerine. Frame by the legendary Puppet. Puppet did them all. Alcohol injection by Hahn Racecraft. Best performance on this machine, 8.15 seconds at 165. So much history to see from the two-wheeled side and the four-wheel side. Of course, the dragster we were looking at moments ago was the famous Swamp Rat 31. This is the one where Big Daddy and Herb Parks spent the first 6 months of 1987 building this beautiful machine, only to flip it over backwards on its 6th run in Spokane, Washington, August 21st, 1987. Thank goodness Don walked away a little shaken. He had 2 broken ribs and a cracked vertebrae, but other than that, he lived to tell and lived to have an amazing career. If you were there or remember this run, let us know in the comments. Chilling. One of the iconic crashes in drag racing. As we said, thank goodness Big Daddy was okay. On the crash run, he turned in a 551 at 215 miles an hour, upside down, backwards, and on fire, setting a low elapsed time of the event. Only Big Daddy Don Garlits, Swamp Rat 31, would get retired with a 258 mile an hour pass at 551. All right, old school Kawasaki KZ fans, here is some eye candy. And not only is this a beautiful, immaculate, classic, old-school Kawasaki KZ, it's historic because it belonged to the first professional female motorcycle drag racer, Vicki Farr. I'll tell you, all the women in the sport today, from Karen Stouffer to Gianna Salinas to Angèle Sampé, they all owe a debt of gratitude to Vicki Farr. She was a trailblazer and a trendsetter. And what a beautiful motorcycle it was on display here at Big Daddy Don Garlits Museum. Look at Big Daddy checking her out way back in the 70s. Beautiful Kawasaki KZ1000 Z1R drag bike. If you've ever seen this motorcycle in action, let us know down in the comments if you know anything about it. It caught my eye right away. It's a beautiful, great looking Kawasaki Z1R. Big Daddy Don Garlits has so much on display. There's so much of a motorcycle flavor to this museum. Check out this bike. Big Daddy Don Garlits won this machine for winning the 1986 Big Go, the U.S. Nationals. It was the 3rd in a row, and for that accomplishment, Don Garlits got himself a motorcycle. Not too bad. That's a pretty nice gift for winning Indy. There's so much to see. Big Daddy Don Garlits originally opened this museum in 1976 to chronicle the history of the sport of drag racing. Together, there are more than 90 race cars and motorcycles in the drag racing building, with an additional 50 in the antique car building. There's also some really cool old school mini bikes. These will bring back some memories. I want to know in the comments who had one of these. Also finally restored, the Kawasaki, the Hondas, I'm sure the motorcycles that many of you grew up on. How about the Super Shops Dragster and many others? Like I said, if you ever get a chance to pass through Ocala, Florida, this is a must-stop place. Don the Snake Prudhomme and the Army car on display. So much to see at Big Daddy's place. We hope you've enjoyed this small taste of the two-wheel displays at the Museum of Drag Racing. Thank you so much, Don Garlits, his grandson Rodney Garlits, and everybody for hooking us up with a trip down memory lane. Anytime we can get to this museum, it's something we appreciate and relish. And like I said, before the Gator Nationals, this place is packed. Big Daddy has a party, and all the big racers come down to hang out with arguably the most famous drag racer of all time, Big Daddy Don Garlits. It's so cool to see that Big Daddy has the love and respect for motorcycles. If he didn't, he wouldn't have a KZ 1000 Z1R on display, or this 3-speed automatic Harley Davidson. What a career for the legendary Big Daddy. What he's up to now is chasing the first 200-mile-an-hour run in the electric dragster, and we wish Big Daddy Don Garlits all the best on that. We did a video on how Steve Huff is competing with him to get there first. Make sure you check that one out on the Cycle Drag YouTube channel. When we stopped in the museum, they said Big Daddy wasn't there that particular day, but they said we can tell you he is consumed at chasing 200 miles an hour in his electric dragster. That's what he wants more than anything, and we appreciate him keeping the history of motorcycle drag racing alive. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to subscribe to Cycle Drag on YouTube, like CycleDrag.com on Facebook, and we'll keep it coming. We are here to promote fast motorcycles all over the world. If you have any friends who you think may enjoy this, please refer them. They are always welcome. Thank you for the comments, the feedback. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you for subscribing to Cycle Drag on YouTube. Certainly appreciate it. Make sure you check out the Steve Huff 200-mile-an-hour electric video. We'll try to catch up with Big Daddy and do one on him as well. Stop by and see this museum as you can. And if you love fast motorcycles, make sure you're subscribed to Cycle Drag on YouTube, like CycleDrag.com on Facebook. We will keep it coming. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the comments. We're keeping the history of this sport alive thanks to you.